Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a more in-depth review of Icon. I obviously brought about a week or two ago out an initial review of it, basically just at the time telling you what I thought of it after just one ride. Now I've had 4 rides on it in total, so I'm able to give a bit more of an informed review. And so that is pretty much what this is. I'll talk it through as though this is the whole experience from the moment you enter the queue to the moment you exit it. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. The moment you enter the queue, you pass under the big doorway. That's really cool and well done. And you'll obviously hear the soundtrack all around the area as well. And the soundtrack you'll hear there is the continuous mix. And that's really cool. It's available on iTunes as a part of the whole package for £5. That's really worth the money because it's such a good soundtrack. As you go through the queue, you'll notice you're moving quite quickly, actually. Yeah, the throughput on this ride is actually quite shocking. It was only running 2 trains at the time and the queue was all the way out the door. But it was a 20-minute queue. It was really, really good. I imagine I'd be amazed at the throughput for that on 3 trains, because on 2 trains I was amazed by it. So 3 trains, wow. Yeah, that has capabilities of being really, really quick, the queue for that. Yeah, the throughput's brilliant, and that does improve the experience because it increases the re-rideability at this stage where it's only recently opened. Then you'll get into the station, and the station building isn't really themed that much. That's one thing you'll notice with the whole ride. It's not really themed that much, but it just looks really modern, really clean, really sleek, and really well done. Yeah, I really like the station. I saw someone say it looks like a big shoebox, and granted it does. But it's a really nice and modern shoebox. And then on the inside, it's got the big mirrors on the far side. It's just really sleek, once again, really clean. And it's got Dramatic Icon blasting out, which is another part of the soundtrack. And I'd say probably that's my favourite part of the soundtrack. It actually in parts reminds me of Terror of the Towers. Does anyone else get that? Yeah, the station's awesome. But then you get to the part of the experience which you're really looking forward to. The baggage holds. No, I'm joking. But before we get to that, actually, the air gates, you get to choose. Well, you're not supposed to get to choose where you sit. There's meant to be someone there, and there was for about 50% of my rides, allocating seats. But the other 2 times I was able to go back row twice, because no one was there doing anything. So I just thought, yeah, sure, all right. And that's also another interesting thing, actually. You need to be 1.50 m for the back row of Icon. That is definitely the tallest height restriction I've ever seen for a ride. And I don't think it's that absurd. Like, the back row, I don't know if it warrants 1.50 m, maybe. I guess it is slightly bigger restraints because that is the row for the people whose body dimensions exceed a certain amount. I can't remember the number. Yeah, that's basically the experience leading up to the ride. So now you are sat on the ride, you pull out of the station and you hit the first launch. The Icon is said by that woman, and then you launch. The launches aren't that powerful, which is what we were expecting really, with it being a Mack launch coaster. They don't really specialise in powerful launches, but it's just enough to get you going at that perfect speed. And that is one thing they do really well with their launch coasters. They know just the sweet spot in terms of getting it not too fast, so that you get awesome hang time and you get awesome, like slow, just fun elements. But they're not too slow that you don't actually have any airtime at all and it's just a bit boring. It's that perfect sweet spot, and they do that really well. And the launches are nice and smooth as well. You gradually pick up speed, and then you go straight into the first section of the ride, straight into that airtime hill, and that is a really cool part of the ride. You kind of slow down as you crest it a bit. You go right under the big one's first drop, and the drop the other side of that's really cool. You go into the kind of incline loopy bit, round the back of the steeplechase, and then back into a heartline roll. And that heartline roll is probably one of my favourite parts of the entire ride because it's really slow. You get awesome hang time. You can stick your hands up and dangle from it. It's really good fun, that part. And then you go into a kind of another mini airtime hill and into that second launch. And another thing they do actually that is quite good about the launches, well, mainly the second launch, is just before it you go into a tunnel which is completely misted out, so you can't see anything going into that second launch. You can't actually see the second launch until you're about halfway in it, and that's really cool. The kind of element of surprise, I suppose, if you aren't expecting the launch, and just when you are expecting the launch, I suppose, just being blinded momentarily is quite cool with it. In that second half, you obviously have the Immelman, which is another cool point of the ride. I'd probably say I prefer the Heartline Roll in terms of the two inversions, purely for its hang time, but the Immelman's really cool as well. And then you enter what would probably be considered, I suppose after that launch would be considered, but this is kind of the point now for the entire second part of the ride, which is the part where it's basically just loads of airtime and bank turns, and it's so quick, this part of the ride. It's, as I said, got loads of airtime. It's got really cool turns to it. It's crazy, this part of the ride. You don't know what's coming next. It's awesome, that part of the ride. I'd probably say, controversially, a lot of people actually say the second half of the ride's better. Controversially for me, I would say the first half of the ride's better. I think that whole bit behind the steeplechase is really cool, how it's low to the ground. I really like the hang time on the Heartline Roll. I'm going to get slaughtered for saying that, but yeah, I do think the first part of the ride's better. But the second half's still awesome. You go right over the queue, you go over all the exit area, it's more into the actual Icon area, and then you come round a few more corners and into that brake run right past the Coasters restaurant, which is quite a cool little interaction point there. And actually talking about interactions, that is one of the things this ride does really well as well. I've only really had one major interaction with it, and that was whilst riding the Big Dipper as Icon does its last little bit, but that was absolutely awesome. You're going along those little bunny hills at the end of the Big Dipper, and over your head, twisting and turning, was Icon. It feels like old meets new, and it's awesome. It's exactly what I think the park were probably going for with this ride, and with all the interactions on all the other rides. I imagine it's awesome as well. I imagine another good one is as you're going up the big ones, lift hill, seeing Icon underneath you as well. Yeah, interactions with this ride are another thing it does really well. Then you exit the ride, and that's probably one of the only parts of the ride I think could be a bit improved. The exit just seems a bit awkward. It's just a big long path that cuts through the middle of the whole thing. It's just got big black fences either side, so you can't really see much. And the whole turf around that area I think is a bit tacky as well. I mean, obviously grass doesn't grow that quick, but they could have at least tried to plant the seeds to get real grass there, make it look more like a garden, maybe put a little bit of water in there. I just think the turf looks a bit tacky, but you don't know what limitations they've had to work with really in that area. And then, as I said, I think the exit's a bit awkward, but that's really one of the only criticisms I have of it, and it's not even part of the coaster. That's how good I actually think Icon is. Another good thing it does is not spitting you out in the shop. It does spit you out in a photo area, but obviously because otherwise you wouldn't buy your photo because you wouldn't see it. But the shop's actually opposite the exit area, which I think is really cool. The shop does look really nice from the outside, and then from the inside there's loads of merch. I've picked up a mug, which you can see just there. The mug looks really nice. I've also got a bag from the ride, and no idea where I've put the bag. I've also got the pin badge as well, which looks really cool. There's so much merch in there. There's some really nice t-shirts. I was going to get a shirt, but I decided against it at the time. So that's pretty much just talking through the whole experience, everything that goes on with Icon, everything that you see as you go through. In terms of a coaster, as I said, it's absolutely awesome. The airtime on it, the banked moments on it, the inversions on it, the launches on it are surprisingly good as well. It's such a good ride. In terms of in the UK, I would have to agree with most other people I've heard. It is one of the best in the UK, if not the best. It's definitely up there with Wicker Man this year. This year, the theme park industry in the UK has been absolutely insane. And a few days ago, I actually posted a hashtag UK Year of the Coaster video, because that's a hashtag that's been thrown around the community a bit. So I thought I'd make a video about it. And that's kind of footage of Icon and Wicker Man. I haven't been on the Walking Dead the ride yet, so I couldn't put any footage of that in it. But yeah, go check that one out as well. But as I was saying, these two rides that have come out really do compete with each other for the top spot in the UK, and I would say the edge does just go to Icon. They're two incredibly good coasters, but incredibly different coasters as well. That's why they're so hard to compare. But I would say Icon is just about the better ride. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Is there any part of it I've missed? Any part of the review? If so, of course, tell me. And like this video if you liked it. And of course, if you liked it, subscribe for more videos like it. And thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, goodbye.